A lot of people have problems with the differences between organic and biodynamic. Basically, they're parallel approaches to viticulture. At the very best of organic and at the very best of biodynamic, properly done. The main differences are going to be the preparations that biodynamic uses, and also the famous or infamous use of the cow horn buried in the ground for 6 months at a time, starting with each equinox, going to the next one. We just finished the spring equinox, where the last year's horns were dug up from the September equinox of '07. The horns were packed with fresh manure, allowed to be in the earth for 6 months to ferment and compost. Those horns were taken out and new horns were put in with silicate, which is going to be used in the fall to help ripening if it's necessary. Those horns will be dug out at the equinox in September. One of the things that we've found is that our needs in the New World are not the needs that they have in Europe. So the use of silicate, by and large, at least in Sonoma Valley, where we're growing most of our fruit, we don't see the need to accelerate ripening. If anything, we have to figure out ways of slowing things down a little bit. Our biggest issue is the sugar levels getting too high and the acid levels being too high also. So if it was a bit cooler, it would slow down the ripening, the sugar ripening, and then the acids would mellow out somewhat on their own. But the other thing that biodynamics really brings to the farmer is an intrinsic relationship between the farmer and the community, the farm that he's working, and in a larger sense, the total history of Homo sapiens. I mean, it's stuff that a lot of people don't really want to talk about or understand, but the best place to start is with Rudolf Steiner's book, Agriculture, to get a real clear idea of what biodynamics is about. And the second thing is to think about that period of human history when we made the transition from hunters and gatherers to become agrarians. And that is really a critical time in our history, in that we're still, the Homo sapiens were still tied into nature. I mean, one of the ways that I kind of compare that to is that dogs and animals can sense when there's an earthquake, or my little dog Lucille can sense when I'm coming home and I could be away for 10 days on a business trip and she'll be waiting for me at the top of the hill. So those abilities are still part of us, but through I think our rational mind, we have really kind of excluded any intuitiveness that we might have in nature. And I think that's one of the things that biodynamics really brings in, and I call it, just really kind of lightly, clairvoyance to the past, and that being able to look into the past for solutions to problems we're having here presently. And I think that's one of the things that Rudolf Steiner was doing for the farmer in the time that he was doing his lectures on agriculture, is that he was giving to the farmer his clairvoyance to the way things used to be, how the farmer was in a much closer relationship to nature than just, the moon and planting, root crops at a certain time and crops that flowered above or fruited above. Much deeper than that. I mean, really getting into the psychic and the energy levels that are in the ground. And I think the horn ceremony reminds us of that, but in a larger sense, it's capturing that, and by using it, it can be a great tool for agriculture.